Wolfie,
Yo,
we're gonna talk some camp news.
what?
Talking about the latest and greatest rumors.
That's some shit.
NBA Finals
Let's do it.
and more. Here we are, y'all, on the Terror Dome and Wolfie.
Turn it up, Jado.
Wolf Dog in the house.
Ow.
Wolf, what kind of dog you got? It seems like you would have a wolf.
I have actually, believe it or not, I have a German Shepherd Whippet, and she's a beautiful dog, and she howls sometimes. When I leave the house, sometimes she'll actually howl. I'll hear her through the apartment. I hear her through the apartment going, "Oh!" It's like, all right, calm down. I'll be right back. Jesus is. She's got some attachment issues, but
Oh, yeah.
that's just probably from the pound kind of type stuff. So wherever I save her from, so no matter what I tried and stuff like that, tried all the tricks and stuff. She's got her separation anxiety has never left her. So every time I leave, I hear "oh," and it's like the cutest thing. But it's also sad because it's not a good thing if she's doing that.
She must love you.
Yeah,
No
She's
dog, a bad owner, and it is what it is. Red Jet in the house saying, Terror Dome, check your mic. I've been checking this mic. Wolf has been giving me periodic updates. Am I 5x5 out there in TV land? Is it
it's a
wobbling?
little cap. It's a little yeah. It's like there's like a cap on it almost. I can hear you, but it's not as clear per usual.
I took the noise cancellation off. Yes,
you
you are clear now. Thank you so much, super producer Red Jet Shell, ladies and gentlemen. Red Jet Shell in the building. Give her a round of applause. What's my rounds of applause at? Man, I've been messing around with that stuff. There it is. Yeah, give Red Jet Shell, ladies and gentlemen. Red Jet Shell. Thank you, Red Jet. So Wolfie, camp news. I heard yesterday that one Terrell Owens was giving advice, sage advice. Now, this is Terrell Owens giving sage advice to one Brandon Ayuk in the presence of Frank Gore and great Patrick Willis. How things have turned. How the mighty. Isn't that pretty? If it hit a lot of people who don't think Terrell Owens is the best of teammates ever, but for Terrell to come to you and say, dude, you need to get it together.
For sure. Well, I'll say this. I really don't know what Terrell Dome was actually talking to him. Not Terrell Dome. So Terrell Owens was talking to him about. I mean, he could just talking about routes for all we know, or like what he would do. I really don't know what the conversation actually was down to a T. But if it was advice, I know that someone who is just an example that I would use. That if somebody who was like a former drug addict telling someone who does drugs, saying, "Hey, don't do this, don't be this guy. Trust me, you don't want to do this." It's kind of say the TO like he was a diva. He was the definition of it. He was like he was the founder of the whole diva stuff. Where like you get a guy like that telling you if this was the conversation, because I don't know exactly, it could just be talking about routes for all we know, but if this was the case, that a guy like that, some people are like, oh, why is the hypocrite saying like you can't be doing this, you don't be doing this, don't be doing this? You learn from those people sometimes because they've been through it and they know that it's not worth it, and it's like if you can get out of it, I give you advice to not like. People learn from their mistakes. And if someone like that has been through it, is trying to tell you, hey, don't do this, it's not worth it, you should listen to them. It's not about the hypocrisy. It's about the lesson that should have been learned that they didn't learn in time. And some people will look at TOs like, hey, how can you say this when you did this? And it's like, no, it's like he's been there. So he knows what it's like and why it's not worth it. So if he was talking to him about that, I really do hope Ayuk was listening to him and taking his advice. And because you want to take advice from those people because they've been down your road that you are currently pursuing, and they've seen the end of it, and you want to know what it's like, and they'll tell you what it's like. And TO is going to tell you, hey man, giving you sound advice that don't do this, it's not worth it. Learn your lessons, learn a lesson from me, And so like I really do hope that he does. I really do hope that Ayuk kind of tempers down a little bit. I personally don't think he's being diva that much to what other people are saying. Like I don't take it that far, but I could see why people would and where he's coming from, and hopefully he tempers it, because I'm not saying like it's like what he's doing isn't dramatic on some level. Like there's a level drama to it, but it's very novice. It's very small to me. Like it doesn't affect the team. It doesn't cause like any kind of friction at all, where it's not ruining the good vibes of the locker room and things like that. So I'm cool with that. If he crosses the line, kind of like what Debo did, where he went on Twitter and was like, "Oh, I'm not getting enough targets," blah, 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 that becomes a problem. But if he's just posting cryptic photos of T.O. and Julio Jones, but talking about the Super Bowl stuff, I'm fine with that. It's very minuscule to me. But I'm also not going to ignore the fact that it is a little dramatic. And if T.O. can divert him from that path and that kind of a situation, like, hey man, you had your moment last year with the contracts. Every 49ers fan knows that, like, that's something that we don't want to see. We don't want to see that Ayuk. We want to see the Ayuk before that, the one in 2023, the one in 2022, 2021. We want to see that Ayuk. That's the Ayuk that we want to see. And if T.O. can tell him the truth, like, hey man, I know what it's like. Like you want to get the targets, you want to be that guy, you want to be known as that guy. But trust me, it's not worth it. Then all props to him, man. I mean, yeah. Hopefully, also get him tips, running rounds and stuff too. That'd be cool.
That is
give him some coaching tips.
Excellent dissertation on that. You flipped it on his ear right there, saying who better to give advice on what not to do and what to do than one Terrell Owens, who has lived it, been it, wearing the gold jacket. Didn't actually go to Canton to get put in, but is in Canton nonetheless. And
I heard you didn't pay for that.
Job on that. You did a good job on that. I like that. You hit that.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like when you see if you see your older brother messing up and stuff like that, like he's a drug addict and stuff like that, you were like, oh, I don't want to be that. I don't want to learn from that. So you learn from people who are hitting rock bottom. And
always learn who's been there. No one can lead you where they haven't been. Yeah. And T.O. has been through it from spectacle to testicle. Now, pause. I needed something to rhyme real quick. But he's been through the full gamut of being the number one receiver in the league, trades, money, everything. People showing up, helicopters showing up over your home while doing sit-ups. You name it. Fights in the locker room. I think he still want to fight Donovan McNabb. T.O. knows. T.O. knows. T.O. knows. And never a bad guy, never off the field issue guy. You never heard about this or that. He's doing this and that off the field. It was just locker room. And I love him. We went through our receivers last night. We went through the greatest receivers of all time in your list and my list. If y'all missed me and Wolfie last night watching the NBA finals, we had like the after finals impromptu podcast.
Yeah,
pretty cool. Yeah, man. And T.O. was both on our top 5 list. I think you had him at 2 or 1.
I had T.O. at
2 or 3. Yeah, 4. Okay. I had him at 3.
Yeah, I'm at 3.
I think. Yeah. So, and quick to recap, Terradome was both of us were consensus is Jerry Rice and everybody else. First and foremost, he's the GOAT. He is it. But I had then Michael Irvin, T.O., Randy Moss, and Don Hudson. That's old school to y'all.
Classic.
And Wolfie, who did you have on your?
My top 5 was obviously Rice, then Randy Moss, Megatron, T.O., and then Larry Fitzgerald.
Very bottom of the list. I don't think people can argue with either one. They could argue on my number 5, but they just have to go back, do some research, and find out really who
They
Don.
made an argument. I was like, "Who the hell is that?" I was like, viewed all into the 20s and 30s. I was like, Jesus
I
Christ.
went all the way back. I got a mind all the way back through eternity, infinity, and beyond. We also discussed Jair Alexander, who is available, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently, he has parted ways with the Green Bay Packers. And there were rumors out there. Jalen Ramsey is very not enchanted with the Miami Dolphins. Your take on that one? If we can bring him in, how do you feel?
If we're talking about Jair Alexander, I'm not into it just because the only way that I'd be interested in a Jair Alexander situation is if it was a 1-year deal. It's not a lot of money, especially considering the 2 years that he's been with the Packers. He's missed 10 games the past 2 years, so he's injury prone at that point because he's got that consistent injury situation. And I like the talent. I really do. I'm a big fan of that, but I'm not paying him $20+ million or whatever it is. I would give him $10 million. Here you go. Let's see if we can make it happen. That's the only way that would actually really pull that off. I believe in these corners. I believe in Green. I believe in Lenoir. A lot of people think that corner is such a dire need, and I don't understand that because Lenoir is phenomenal. Green looks great. Stout is looking stout.
Pardon the pun there. You put a little pun in there.
Yeah. Hey, whenever you can throw in a pun, it's always nice. It's always nice throwing a little pun.
It hits. It's good.
Canteen is looking really good from what I've heard. The undrafted guy, 6-year guy out of college. I've heard he's looking good. Avery, I've heard is looking really good too as well. So Trey Brown has got a couple interceptions. There's some good things coming from the corners situation right now, where I don't think it's dire to where you have to go out and get someone like Jair Alexander. I always say that you don't need 3 number 1 corners on your team. You don't need two number 1 corners on your team. I feel like it'd be great. Like, it's not a bad thing. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's it's not something I don't want, but the expectation is to have a 1, a 2, and a 3. And your 3 is going to be a 64 between 92. That's 96. That's the expectation. And Jair Alexander is a number 1 corner, just injury pro is a situation. So I'm not interested in Jair Alexander for that. But if it's a 1-year deal, cheap contract, why not? I mean, it's worth it at that point. But I don't think he's going to do that. I think he wants a contract for multiple years somewhere. I can see like the Ravens, Bills, or Chiefs, something like that, picking him up, doing something like that. Because they're way more dire need at corner than we are, I believe. And also, I think the front office is really comfortable with the corner situation, just based off vibes and what they're doing there. I would say I'm not a fan of the Jalen. I don't want Ramsey. I'm not a fan of the Ramsey trade. I would not do it. He's not a type of guy to take a discount or anything like that. What we talked about last time about him possibly moving to free safety and stuff like that. Like, I don't believe in it, but if we trade for him and turn it into a free safety, I'd be open to the experiment because I do think he has good field vision. So I think that's good for him as a safety. But like the $28 million and then the $20+ million the next year after that, $20+ million after that. Yeah, that is way too much for
pricey,
especially for a guy that you want to potentially move to a free safety. I would not. He would. And the thing is, like, you'd be like, okay, would he take the discount to go somewhere else? He wanted a new contract last year at his age, so it's clearly still about money with this guy, and he just wants money. And a team maybe, like I said before, Ravens team that is desperate for a corner would probably do that. I do not think this team is desperate for a corner. I think they like the corners that they got. And if one, like, it was relatively cheap, and you could trade for a rookie contract, or they have a cheap contract but high potential, something like that. Maybe trade for them in that aspect, but these two corners, I just don't think fit the situation enough to where it's like, go get them, such as Jair Alexander, be a free agent, too expensive. Jalen Ramsey, trade and too expensive.
Well, that's fair. But my mantra is I can't have enough corners. I want more corners than New York City. I want corners. And that's my mindset because the structure of a defense, particularly the way the NFL is moving now, there are going to be multiple empty sets, and they're going to put 4 wide receivers out there. They're going to put 3. They're going to even go. Sometimes they're going to go 5 wide. The NFL goes back to college sometimes to get plays and move it forward in the NFL, and it's kind of a bottom up type deal when you're talking about the passing game, which forces your defense to now look at a philosophy of combating said issue the same way that colleges might have, and it's just been that way over time. As soon as you start developing passing concepts, now we got to come in, make adjustments, and just go with the prevailing winds of change to do something like this. This is what's happened, and when you have multiple corners who can man up against receivers, it puts your defense in an advantageous situation. Case in point, not Vic Fangio, who's my man up in Kansas City right now. Who's that defense? Spagnuolo saw that. Okay, the San Francisco 49ers have this guy, that guy, this guy, and that guy. They got 4 bona fide threats at receiver when he was looking at us with it was Debo, it was Kittle, it was who else? BA, it was CMC coming out of the backfield. He had to have the personnel to man that up. We got to man that up. If we sit in the zone, they're just gonna kill us. It's gonna be over with. And that went all the way back to when I first saw this was Bill Belichick playing us back in the 80s when he was with the Giants. He would tell Bill Parcells, Bill, we gotta go man. If we stay in the zone, they're gonna beat us by 50. And it's just how defenses are made. So the more corners you have, the better you are against a pass happy tradition of offense. It just lends itself to that. So for that reason, I want corners, but we always have to consider what's different now, the salary cap. And we can't be spending all of our money on big contracts for corners and safeties and needing pass rush and needing some offensive linemen and needing this and needing that. So it's all about the price point. With Jair getting cut versus a trade, we take his temperature, see how it is, because there are injury concerns, right? I think he's dealing with a knee right now. And last 2 years, I think he's played 7 games one season, 7 games another season. He had a good 2023, and then he played 4 games one season. So I think the Packers were looking at that too and saying, we love you when you're here. You know,
no, he's a great player when he's available.
When you're on field, you are a dog. Crazy about you, but dude, you ain't here.
2 years in a row, 10 games. It's crazy.
Yeah, man.
That's taking a huge chance on an injury-prone player, and we've already gone through the whole injury-prone cycle of things of last year, where we don't want to do the whole Trent Baalke thing and just picking up injury-prone players, even with that huge upside. So I'm not. If you got Jair Alexander, it's great, but like that whole injury-prone situation is like we don't need that juju anymore. We don't need that kind of situation. So I'm just I'm not for that. But yes, when he's on the field, he is a top 10 corner in the league when he's on the field for sure. But again, it's up to Jair if he would want to take like a discount. Because that's really what it would take to obtain someone like Jair Alexander, and he would have to get a 1-year deal from us. So I don't think it's within the cards. But if we got the guy, I'm not going to complain. I'll be like, okay, we got a top 10 corner. Hopefully he can play more than 4 games in 2 seasons. That'd be great. I would absolutely love it.
Awesome.
Like, I'm not going to be against it, but it just I truly don't see the 49ers even attempting to try to get Jair Alexander or Jalen Ramsey. I truly do not see that. I strongly disagree with the notion that Lenoir is a number 2 corner. He is a number 1. He's a 1 through 32 for sure. Like, if you think
what he's saying is if you get Ramsey or Alexander as your number 1, Lenoir is possibly the best number 2 in the National Football League.
We also says which he is a number 2 corner.
Oh, ouch.
He says that's not true. He's number 1.
He's our number 1 right now.
And I trust that he's a number 1. I trust him as a number 1 corner. Like, he played phenomenal.
He's getting paid like a number 1 corner.
And Ward wasn't there for most of the games, so it's kind of like he did his thing when Ward was absent.
And it goes through, it's your threshold of what you call a number 1 corner. Can this guy week in and week out travel against the best receiver in the game? Some of the best. Does he match up well against Jair, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson? The list goes on and on. Mike Evans, whomever the best teams, the team's best wide receiver, that's who your number 1 has got to match up. And we can say that's a fair fight over there. We'll ball over here. You handle that. And by that proclamation, I think Lenoir can match up pretty decent with some of them, but
he's shut down some number 1s. Like,
it's some top. He's been there. Like who? I mean, go. State your argument. Who he shut down?
He could play. I think he'll play great against Devontae. I think he'll play great against Puka Nacua. I think he'll play great against Marvin Harrison Jr. Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase are like 2 other realms of. That's literally 1 and 2 top 2 wide receivers in the league. That means you'll need someone like a top 5 to top 10 corner to actually compete with someone like that. But I don't know if he's a top 10 corner. I would definitely do somewhere like 10 to 32, somewhere in that general area is where I would put him. But that's where I would say. But I trust him to go up against some of the best wide receivers. I trust him to go up against DK Metcalf. He's done that before. Anyone in the NFC West, you name it, I think he could do it. I think he can go up against a dude. Like, he can go up against a lot of players. I think I think he go good at, like, literally only 2 or 3 wide receivers I'd be concerned about, and we don't face any of those wide receivers, which is Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and I can't even think of another wide receiver that I would be relatively concerned when it comes to Demo. I trust Demo a lot. I think he's truly number 1. I think he can shut down anyone in the slot or even outside. He's done that multiple times. I'm truly confident in Lenoir and what he's capable of and what he can be. I think he could potentially take a step forward this year and possibly be a top 10 corner in the league. I don't think that I don't think he's – a lot of people overlook him for some reason, and it's just maybe because he was in the shadow of Ward, so everyone just thinks that he's like this bad guy or whatever. But last year when Ward was not available,
Ward wasn't even available. Yeah, he was holding it down.
He was damn good. We played against Dallas Cowboys against CeeDee Lamb. He shut down CeeDee Lamb. He did a really good job against CeeDee Lamb. There's some moments, obviously, but CeeDee Lamb's considered like top 3, top 4.
He caught us at the end there for a touchdown, and I think he had a buck. I think he had 100.
He had a touchdown where Jair Brown knocked down Ronaldo Green was covering CeeDee Lamb. Jair Brown ran into Ronaldo Green, and CeeDee Lamb had a wide open touchdown. Yeah.
It looked bad. Yeah, it looked like, oh man, they like the Three Stooges out there. We still won the game, but nonetheless, it's like, wow.
Green's different. I still need to see more from Green, but Demo himself, I've seen enough. I think we got a really good price tag for what we're paying him, and what he's
and we paid him. There's another There's another hit right there. Yeah, we paid the guy. Obviously, he's shown us a lot and paid him relatively early. It wasn't a nasty holdout or
It
nothing
was a
like that.
shocker.
Yeah,
It was
because
like,
usually
"Why? We paid for him?"
I only see them do that one time before. It was after the Chicago game back in 2022-ish or 21. And then they went and paid Greenlaw early. It just came out of nowhere and say, "Hey, you know something, Greenlaw? You're our guy." It was after a penalty. He had a bonehead penalty in Chicago. I said, "Whoa, 49ers just paid that guy like that quick." But yeah, it's Greenlaw and Demo. If conventional wisdom holds true, they're going to be incredible players. Demo's going to be an incredible player because the 49ers paid you early. That really doesn't happen, bud.
Yeah, he's a bona fide number one. I think when you get a bona fide number one, I don't think you need to go out do crazy things and try to force the issue at corner when you got a number one and you got what looks like a potential another number one in Green. If Green can replicate what he did last year and get better, sophomore slump incoming. Careful there, that juju there. But if he can take off from his rookie season and get better from that, I think that makes him a number one corner. Like he has that potential, and he showed a lot of potential, especially at man. He's so good. So is Lenore. Lenore is insanely good at man. But the question mark right now is that third spot. But I think that third spot, Stout, Canteen, Avery, Trey Brown, I think they can rotate enough to get through that. I think the depth there is actually pretty darn good. Surprisingly good, if you ask me. I'm not. So I guess I've been going around in circles saying this, but if we get Jair Alexander, I'm not going to complain. I mean, there's no way. I'm going to be like, well, that was stupid. How dare you get a guy that's?
I don't want to win today. Yeah. If you can get him at a good price point, hey man, sky's the limit. Come on.
Exactly. It's the same thing with Ramsey, man. If I don't want to go get him, or I don't think it's a good move to do it, but I'm not going to be doom and gloom and be like, that was stupid and stuff like that. I'm like, clearly the 49ers have found a way to make it work with cap space because they always think about their cap. They're always conscious of the future with Parag and all that. So if they were to trade for Jair Alexander, or if they were to sign if they were to sign Jair Alexander or trade for Ramsey, they obviously were like, okay, we can afford him because of the future. So they would make it work. So I trust the organization when it comes to the cap situation like that.
Yeah.
So if we were to, I'm saying it's not good now, but if we were to do it, I would be on board 110%, like, for those players. Cause it's like, okay, obviously Robert Saleh is confirming, hey, I know how to work with this guy and I trust Robert Saleh.
Yes.
Cap space. I trust Parag. I trust Parag with the cap space as well. So those two things cohesively work out together. It's like a puzzle piece. And I'd be all for it.
It's more dominoes that have to fall for Jalen Ramsey to me. That would involve a trade. That would involve a position change. That would involve him acquiescing. There you go, Red Jet. That's your word for the day. Acquiescing a little bit to some money, and it breeds some familiarity because Gus Bradley was with him in Jacksonville. Robert Saleh might have been there as well in Jacksonville when they had that little run when they were a really, really good defense. They called it Saxonville back in the day.
Yeah.
And he's got some familiarity with Ramsey, and he would have to then, because our kind of weakness right now with injury and performance is free safety, and strong safety is even affected. I just pulled up our depth chart just to give us a little bit of
I don't know, man. Richie Grant looks solid, dude. From what I hear, Richie Grant from mandatory minicamp and OTAs is looking really damn good, I've heard.
That would be good. He's a rookie, Richie, or he's a free agent signed along with but Mustafa is down. Jair Brown took What'd you think of him last year? It was a little touch and go there as far as Jair Brown. Didn't
Yeah, but you got to keep in mind Nick Sorensen. Nick
Yeah.
Sorensen does not know how to use pieces. So like he's going to set up players for failure. And I almost you shouldn't give it too much of a pass, but you got to be like a little bit of like, okay, he did have Nick Sorensen that did not know how to use the pieces correctly or the players of their strength. I mean, Nick
Yeah.
Bosa even looked bad out there, and like I we'll see what Robert Saleh does with him. If Jair Brown comes out and plays terrible with Robert Saleh, then okay, then I know he's bad. Like then I know he's not that good because Robert Saleh knows how to use his DBs, right? He knows how to use his linebackers and DBs. He knows how to use those.
Yeah.
So I would trust it then. But like Nick Sorensen kind of year, I think some players deserve a little leeway.
Yeah, you got to give you got to give it the Nick Sorensen the Nick Sorensen curve. Consider who we had at coach. Yeah. Sorry about that ad flash in there.
And strong safety. I mean, he's also. I think he played free safety, and it's like he's more of a strong safety. So he's going to be playing in his strength of position. Like that's where he'll be at. So I do expect him to play better if he's playing in a position that he was meant to play, which is strong safety. So
and I hear Sigel is a little banged up as far as camp news is concerned. And that ain't good already. He coming in the game a little banged up or a little hurt. And that's like, won't they tell you this when you go to the combine and you get your medical evaluations and stuff, and you got a little something going on that might require surgery or something? Dude, what are we doing there? Don't do that. Don't do that.
I think I don't even know what the injury is. I just think he just got injured. He's healing. I don't think it's like he needed surgery or anything like that. Sigel. So
well, I was speaking in terms of like when you get a rookie and all of a sudden this rookie, he might have to have surgery. Dude, didn't we do our due diligence? And not isolated to this instant, but how does that happen? Because you hear about that in the NFL, like what? But it's all good in the hood.
You mean like as a fan, or like because I'm assuming the front office knew that Sigel was hurt and they knew that Alfred Collins was hurt. That's something they say. They knew that already. So with drafting him, but they knew they should be available for training camp, which is most important of all, to be honest with you. But Sigel, man, Sigel and Alfred Collins, I really hope they're available for training camp. Then if they're not, then I'll be concerned.
Yeah, there it is.
I've heard
Malik Mustafa. I heard he's not going to be available week 1.
Yeah, apparently he's supposed to be like coming in a half the season. So
ACL.
that was a surprise. Now that was
they came out of nowhere saying, "Oh yeah." In a related story, he tore his ACL. You're like, what?
I just saw him on TikTok. He was fine.
Man walking around with a torn ACL.
Yeah, so I think the depth, we could use possibly another free safety, but it's good news that that Pinnock is looking better from what I've heard, but Richie Grant I've heard is looking absolutely amazing. A lot of people are raving about Richie Grant right now, which is great news, especially considering the concern we have at free safety.
And we need that. That is welcome news. There.
So and then Jalen Mahoney, I've heard is looking pretty good too. Like the safety, the DB situation, it's usually you get like really bad news about players. Like this player is bad, and this position is just so bad, and they need more. It seems to me that like there's so much potential and so much good things coming out of like every single spot, where like everyone is saying something positive about all the positions. Like even Grant Cohn is doing that, like saying like, the corners are, but the corners look great. Oh, but the safety, but Pinnock and Richie Grant look great. And you're like, what the hell?
Oh, wow.
Even the offensive line, people are saying I have never seen a fan base more optimistic about the offensive line until this year. Everyone is talking about
somebody said we're going to be it was a hot take of who my man, John Chapman. Shout out John Chapman, man. He said his hot take was we'll be a top 5 offensive line next.
I thought that was Dieter. Wasn't that Dieter?
I think
And Larry
I think
Krueger?
John Chapman. I heard him say it on a different program. It was a hot take. Now it was a bold statement. Bold statement. That's what Larry Krueger said. Bold statement. He said we'll be a top 5 offensive line.
So if
next
two
year.
people are saying that I think that's wild, dude. That is
Yeah.
insane to me because it's like the reasonings that I heard was because they got another year of cohesion. Great. But they're older. They're not going to get better. Brendel is older, not going to get better. Trent is older. I don't imagine him getting better. Cole McKivitz, we've seen only one good year from him just because of Dominic Pooney. Where Pooney had a rookie year, he's probably going to have a down year because of the sophomore slump. Hopefully not. I don't see the left guard position is Ben Barch, who's injury prone. I love the optimism. Like, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love because like being positive is always a better vibe than being negative. But like, I feel like don't set yourself up for failure here. That offensive line is relatively exactly the same. And I don't understand the top 5. I think top 5 is crazy work, dude. If you wanted to say 10 through 15, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, I'm all for it. Like the cohesion thing might be real. That's true. Whatever, that might work. But top 5, dude, do you understand how good that is as a line? If one of those players goes down, dude, this line takes a drastic drop. I do not.
Look what crazy Juice said.
Brendel is still ass. So it's just like and that's kind of what I'm trying to say is like everyone is saying that like this offensive line is gonna take a leap forward and be fantastic. I'm not gonna be against that. I'm not gonna be against the idea of it in the sense of like, how dare you? No, we're be shitty and stuff like that. Like if you want to think that, that's fine, but I don't see where the logic comes in to think that. Austin.
Well, I'm hearing great things about Austin Pleasant. I'm hearing really, really wonderful, which gives us some much needed stability in depth because you're always going to have depth. I think Red Jet Shell mentioned we don't have that bye week until week 14, and players get banged up. You mentioned the aforementioned Ben Barch, who is wonderful. The couple of games I saw Ben Barch in, I was like, man, this guy's going to be good here. But then, he gets hurt. He gets banged up. I think he played like a game and a half. Maybe.
Game and a half, got hurt in the Bills game. It's just, look, the depth is better. I will say the depth is better, but depths aren't starters. So the Austin Pleasants behind McKivitz, I love it. I believed in Austin Pleasants when the moment we got him. I've been obsessed with him. You can ask Anshul from 49ers Media. I've been all for it. I've been behind that guy, and I want to take credit for that. By the way,
Burford, get a man his flowers. He was on Austin Pleasant from a long time.
Larry Krueger's allowed to take some credit for certain players. I'm allowed to take some credit for certain players as well.
Take your bow, take your credit. Let's give him the horn.
Ben Barch being a tackle, I've heard he's better at tackle. It's great. So depth is fantastic, but like that starting line is still exactly the same. So great is like the depth. I love the depth idea of it, and that's better. But you don't have an upgrade at a line that was considered at best from every ranking I've seen was 16. So I don't you can't doing the same thing, expecting a different result here is kind of frustrating. And then people are saying, oh, but this is going to be a top 5 line. Well, then Ben Barch needs to be healthy throughout the entire season, and he needs to perform the way he did for that game and a half. That's what he's got to do. Trent Williams can't get hurt at all. Brendel has to somehow get better, and not only get better, but really benefit from being beside Ben Barch, who's supposed to last the entire season. You got Pooney. Yeah, he had a great season, but it was his rookie season. You can't rely on that to be like, okay, that's who he is consistently.
To me, Pooney was a Pro Bowl snub. And I'll make that argument. I tracked him the whole year, and he was always in the top 8 of guards. His BFF grades were in the top 8 of guards right around until about week 12 or 13, which is usually when rookies start to peter out, because they've been used to playing 12 games all their lives, and now we're throwing a 13th, a 14th, a 15th week on there, and they do start to dwindle a little bit. But Pooney had a really good rookie year.
He had one bad game. And that was
league wide. He did.
He had one bad game against the Bills where he had 3 holding calls.
Yeah,
outside that, he was phenomenal.
What week was that? That was deep.
14, 13.
That's what I said. These guys, the rookies start to peter out a little bit because they're used to playing 12-game seasons and 10-game seasons. Their bodies start. It's just something that'll happen with a lot of rookies. They'll have a bad back end.
If Pooney plays worse, like even just a little bit, Colt McKivitz is also going to regress as well. McKivitz is going to be as good as however Pooney is. With Pooney next to McKivitz, they're phenomenal. And McKivitz is only going to go as far as Pooney does. So if Pooney has a setback and doesn't play as good, McKivitz is also going to not play as good. So there's so much of these ifs and like this very thin line where like if one thing collapses, it's a cataclysm effect where it's just like, okay, yeah, you got the depth, but are they going to be that much better than the starters you got where you're pretty much going to be in the same spot? So it's not like you got upgraded somewhere. It's
there's always a possibility. I mean, of just total regression and just everybody could get hurt. We can do that. But what I'm looking at is a trend line and what I've seen based on historical data, statistical data. I have to say with that, Colton McKivitz from week 1 to week 18 progressed and got better during the year. And I have, film and, grades to.
But if Pooney doesn't play good, do you think that McKivitz?
What's that?
Do you think if Pooney doesn't play good, do you think McKivitz takes a step back?
No.
You don't think that Pooney didn't benefit from you didn't think McKivitz benefited from Pooney's play?
They both played very, very well. Like I said, Pooney was a Pro Bowl snoop and McKivitz got better. And where I say he got better was on his pass pro. He's setting better and he added to his repertoire, giving them the fake arm to kind of give you, I'd have to explain. It gives a defensive end a false sense of going to an edge. He thinks that hand is out there to get around, and he would pull it and then have hit the surface of a defender. He got better during the year. Is he a Pro Bowl right tackle? No, but I have to say emphatically with the video evidence that was presented before me that this man got better from week 1 to week 18 in his pass pro.
All right. Well, I believe he got better at that because Pooney saved his ass, and Pooney is that good. Pooney's making him look better.
Pooney made Brindle look better than Pooney made McKivitz look better. And Pooney is that. Pooney saved Brindle's ass a few times.
So then swap it over. If Pooney doesn't play as good, then Brindle's going to take a step back from his ass play already.
Yeah.
So his ass play is going to be
that is a definite. You got to have an outstanding Pooney this year to raise the level of Brindle, because Brindle, I am telling y'all here that is scary at center. That's the scariest center I've seen in 49er history. I got video evidence to sustain that argument. That I worry about Brock behind Brindle. I do. I was hoping somebody would step up and take his job, Matt Hennessy or Drake Nugent, somebody, because Chris Forrester is just sold on Jake Brindle. He loved Jake Brindle. He think Jake Brindle.
I don't think Chris Forrester is that good of an offensive line coach.
He is not to me either. I'm not a fan. And
so if the offensive line turns out to be top 5, I'll make a video being like, I was wrong, everyone was right, and stuff. I will eat them words so hard.
Oh yeah. I think if we are a top 5 offensive line, y'all book your tickets for Santa Clara in February. We're going to the Super Bowl. So this is really a bold take here to say, yeah, it's gonna be top 5. Okay, that's a big step. I think we were ranked 22 or 24 overall. You're gonna move up. How many spaces? That 19, and get into that top 5. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
That's a lot.
The average was 21. The ranking of the offensive line was 21 when I last did my research. The highest ranking I saw was 16. And you pretty much have the exact same line with better depth, sure, but the depth is not better than the starting lineup. So it can't get better than the 16 spot technically. Yeah. But if somehow you get to a top 5 line with CMC, the running backs with Isaac Grendel's taking a step forward, you got Kittle, you got Juwan Jennings, you got Brock Purdy out there if he just had more time. Yep. This team is definitely going to the Super Bowl.
We're going to Super Bowl.
I would immediately be like, okay, we're going to the Super Bowl. Like I'd be beyond confident that we would go to Super Bowl if it's a top 5 line.
It's happening. Book it. We're in there like swimwear. We're in there.
Yeah, dude.
But we got that remains to be seen. Again, everybody, don't clip this up and just say Tara don't say we're going to the Super Bowl. It's a lot of ifs and buts and candies and nuts. Don't clip this up and put this out there. Like, this man's crazy. It's like a used car sale. It's crazy, Eddie. He give the cars away, but his wife won't let him. We have that guy, man. You ever had the crazy used car salesman ads that come on the radio? And we had a guy in Richmond, man. They say it's crazy, Eddie. I'm slashing prices. I would give the cars away, but my wife won't let me. And you come down there.
Yeah,
I used car.
Yeah. So if that's what to go back to the original thing that we were talking about is like everyone seems to be. It's like with the good mood and the good vibes, despite what I think is a minimal diva thing from Ayuk. Outside of that, everything is just everyone's paid. People are hurt, but they're all going to come back at training camp, so it's good vibes there. It's just like the greatest offseason the 49ers have ever had, and it comes with just this positivity that I never thought I'd see about the offensive line, even though I'd be like, okay, I love the positivity here. Like, it's a lot better than it was last year where everyone's just being negative about everything. But, like, I do think we need to slow our brakes on some things, like the offensive line thing. But what I'm trying to say is, like, everyone's being so positive and being like, even the offensive line, man, is going to be better, dude. It's going to be so great. The corners and safeties look phenomenal. The linebacker look great. D-line looks great. Like, you're just hearing this whole...
Pump your brakes. Pump your brakes. Pump your brakes. The media don't press that issue. The media don't press that issue. And then when certain PFF grades say that the O-line wasn't as bad as people think they are, and the coaches agree with that. I use PFF as a tool, as a measure, but it usually backs up and sustains what I've looked at when I go week to week looking back at the film and the non-production of the offensive, the non-production of runs, first downs being ascertained after third down, and our run totals. I go back and look at why didn't this play work? Well, here's old Brindle turned around looking at Brock get sacked, and it's his man, or Brock's running for his life, and it's Brindle's guy who he let in, and Brindle turned around looking. Brindle need to pay for those seats that he had last season, turn around and looking at one Brock Purdy.
Well, it's also like, I've seen this offensive line. I know it's bad. I know it's not that great. PFF also agrees it's not that great. Then not only does PFF also agree with me, every other person that does analytics towards the offensive line also agrees that the offensive line is not that great. So is it just going to be, all right, well, it's not as bad as everyone makes it out to be, or is there going to be a consensus this offensive line is just not good? And if the consensus plays into what you're saying, what you believe in, that's what it is. If the team is, because I could just be like, well, the offensive line is actually number one. It's the best in the league. They just, it's bad. You can't debate that. But if I go and say, okay, this offensive line is bad, I know that. PFF tells me that. Yahoo tells me that. CBS Sports tells me that. Analysis tells me that. You tell me that. Other people tell me that. other people watch it. That is a consensus that's telling you this is not a good offensive line. And it's not. It's a below average offensive line, quite literally. Your average is 15. Anything below that is below average.
If you're below 15, you're below average. Yes, sir.
So this is a below average offensive line consensus. So that's what it is. It's a below average offensive line, even outside of PFF. It's bad.
Yeah. And I just like an offensive line, man. And you know, the creme de la creme right now is the Philadelphia Eagles. If it's 3rd and 3, the Philadelphia Eagles have no reservation. Everybody in the building knows, hey, they're probably going to run this ball and they probably going to get a first down. I'd like to have that confidence. 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, you know what's coming. They're daggone tush push. They just have so much confidence in what they do. That's how a good offensive line should be. And giving, you know, Brock adequate time to get those developmental plays downfield on a 3rd and long. They pick up blitzes very well. They know what they're doing. They slide the protection. They use play action pass very, very well. But you know, it's just times, man, when they drop back and you're like, oh
it's a
man,
generational offensive line.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous of that offensive line.
That's a very good offensive line. Yeah.
Brock is.
And shout out to Jeff Stutland up there. That is a really great offensive line. Him, Bill Callahan's a great offensive line coach. It's some others around there. The one up in Detroit. Detroit has drafted well and got really, really good offensive linemen as well, man. I like what they're doing. I got to shout it out. I ain't riding. I ain't glazing. I just know what's good and what I've seen, and they're doing pretty good with their offensive lines. That's what I say.
So
he's willing to bring it. He's healthy.
I just wish that Brock had a better offensive line like that. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's like all these question marks and predictions. I just feel like that. Like I really wish that we can be confident in our offensive line and be like, okay, this is a strong suit, or it's comfortable, at least a little bit above average, like at least a 10 through 15. That would be nice. I mean, I wouldn't hate that. I think that would help out a lot of Brock, because Brock is constantly making throws off his back foot while he's getting hit, having to scramble and make plays and things of that nature, and making that offensive line look better than it actually is. And it's not even good. So it's like, even though Brock is out there running for his life and getting hit while he throws the ball, it doesn't go against the offensive line as a sack. It goes as a QB hit while he throws the ball. And it's like, okay, that's not as bad as a sack. And it's like, well, you just helped out the offensive line to make him look better because Brock is that good. And it's just kind of, I get a little frustrated that the offensive line is ignored just because people believe that. What I find funny is that some people think that like Kyle is a mastermind when you need him to be a mastermind in your argument. So he's suddenly like, okay, it's Kyle's scheme. He's making all the things work and stuff like that. So it's Kyle's scheme that does it. But then it's like, oh, but Kyle's actually bad and he's not great. He's terrible, actually. He's not good. So which one is it? So I get kind of frustrated sometimes when people try to like pick and choose when Kyle's is he good or is he not good? All right. And is he good enough to where he's making that offensive line better? Or is he just not as good and then he can't get over the hump and never win the Super Bowl because he's not that good? So is the offensive line just that bad? So I think that the Brock Purdy makes that offensive line look better. I do think Kyle Shanahan, and I've always said this, I don't think Kyle Shanahan is the best head coach in the world, but I do think he schemes it up with play action and does a lot of things so that there's trickery to make the offensive line better than it actually is. I do think that does happen, but I do think he has sometimes he thinks that he can make this offensive line be good enough, not just good. Like it's not a good offensive line. It just has to be good enough so that he could do these plays. That is it. Example here. The NFC Championship game against the Philadelphia Eagles, Brock Purdy gets hurt. That was supposed to be a trick play. Do you know what he did in his protection? He had a backup tight end.
Blocking the
against Reddick.
Reddick was online to be defensive player of the year there. And I think the Eagles set the record that year for sacks, or they had some like 70 sacks in the season.
And it just goes to show that Kyle thinks that he can just trick people and do these motions and mess and just be like, okay, this is good enough. It's not actually putting out, this player is going to be in matchups, essentially. It's not a matchup game. It's a trickery game that Kyle uses with offenses. So and that's the thing. It's like Kyle does make the offensive line better with his schemes, but also there is a weakness there where if one lineman figures it out, finds that hole that's in that, then it's immediately a terrible situation there, and then you're going to sack and possibly tear, Brock Purdy's PCL there. That's what could possibly happen.
We don't want overall, that. Knock wood. God forbid. God forbid.
Yeah, God forbid. And it's just a matter of Brock making that offensive line better, doing the things that he does, not being a statue, actually doing crazy things, and Kyle Shanahan doing some trickery and stuff like that. But if this team had a better offensive line, if there was just a better offensive line here, the Brock Purdy's play would be significant. The Kyle Shanahan's play would be significantly better. So it's just everything would go up.
Hold on real quick, man. Kylie Young was on last night. I was on shout out CG, Ruthless, and Dion, man. We were on there chopping it up. I think it was before the game, before I got with you, Wolfie, and brother Dion X said that Kyle Shanahan is the worst coach in San Francisco 49er history. And I said, come on now, Dion. We had Chip Kelly and Tom Sula. Tom Sula farted at the press conference, dude.
I remember that. I forgot about that.
He's not the worst. You might be mad.
That, dude. That's a classic.
We've lost a couple Super Bowls, but come on, man. Let's temper it down. He's not that
the worst. No, far from it. Dude.
And then he tried to play it off. He looked like the Doritos chip man. He's sitting there like, boom. Yeah. Anybody else got anything? Say, dude, ain't nobody talking. You farted.
I remember that too. I do remember that very vaguely. I remember that being like, "Did he fart?" That was like a whole thing.
Kyle is not the worst. He is not the worst. Kyle is by standards, industry standards, getting to NFC championships and Super Bowls. He's relatively good. You would have to say that.
Where you come from with that, where people come from with that is that the expectation was set to like this mastermind thing.
Yeah,
it was just so
genius.
high.
They was throwing that word around.
Yeah, and he's not quite meeting that, so it's like you're not meeting my expectations, so you're terrible, and you're probably the worst because I'm expecting more from you. So you're actually the worst. In reality, if you remove that expectation, where is he? He's like a top 5, maybe like at 5, definitely through 10 coach in the league right now. Even last year, I think. Yeah, he's not perfect, but that's why he's not number 1. He's not number 1. He's not number 2. He's not number 3, I don't think. But as of right now, he's still a above average head coach for sure. Like he's a top 10 head coach for sure. I think he's like 5. He's around like 5 or 4.
Yeah, right, maybe 5.
So I just think it's just weird.
That's fair.
Yeah, so it's like he's not the worst. If the 49ers have a top 5 head coach in the league right now at 5, they do not have the worst head coach in 49ers history. Okay, that's bar none. Chip Kelly was bad. Like you said, Jim Tom Sula was bad. I like him as a coach, but the fart thing is funny. I don't know about that. No respect to I can't think of his name. The linebacker guy who played for the Bears was interim head coach for us. You know what I'm talking about? Back in like 2009,
Mike Singletary.
Mike Singletary wasn't a very good coach. He was a good coach for Vernon Davis, but he wasn't a good coach in general.
Not a good head coach. Great linebacker coach. All Hall of Fame linebacker when he played. A good man of God, but they couldn't get the plays in, man. It was like you got to break the huddle at 11 seconds. If y'all look at the play clock on the average NFL game, just keep your eyes on the clock. If you're not breaking that huddle in with 11 seconds on the play clock, you're gonna run the risk of a timeout or delay a game. And You got to get the plays in, dude. If you can't get the plays in and be ready, scatter the west, right, tight F left, 372, Y6Z spot ready, break. If they didn't say break at 11 seconds, dude, it's gonna be it's gonna be trouble. It's gonna be trouble. And
so,
he
I
just
think
couldn't get it right.
that guy was just in his feelings about because I mean, I think when people say that, it's just because they're so hurt by getting so close to the Super Bowl and losing it twice, slipping from them twice from the same head coach. I think that's where it comes from. It's just that you build that animosity where you just want to call him the worst thing ever and just throw everything at him. But I think from a logical, realistic standpoint, calling him the worst, even in like the worst head coach, because you're technically calling him the worst head coach in the NFL by saying that. If you're saying that, you're saying he's the worst head coach in the NFL. He's not even close to that. So I just think that we gotta like, okay, stop, breathe. I understand we were close. We almost had it happen, but he's, like you said, still made us to NFC Championship games, still takes us to Super Bowls. You cannot be a terrible head coach and do that. It's just not possible. You can't be a shit head coach, okay, and make it to the Super Bowl. I look. I personally am not the biggest Nick Sirianni fan. I don't think he's a top 5 head coach, but I do think he's top 10. He made it to the Super Bowl. Got to give him his flowers.
And won it. Yeah.
And won it. And I do think that I don't think Mike McCarthy was that great of a head coach. And guess what? Won like 4 playoff games. Losing a divisional round. Doesn't have a very good game plan. Had fracking Ezekiel Elliott at center. So it's just like you cannot be a good head coach. You cannot be.
You remember that play? You remember that play? They did we call that a muddle huddle. It's like it's a go for broke kind of play, man. When you put the offensive line on one side, the receivers on another, and running back snaps the ball. Like I think we do that in Hardy ball when we play pickup, sandlot ball. Yeah, man, that was a bad look. That was a bad look. A head coach has got to have great clock management, and usually he doesn't have to be a mastermind at the invention of an offense or the implementation of an offense or defense. But what he does have to have is the wherewithal and the sense to get good coordinators who can implement their offenses and run it to perfection. And that coach has to become general manager of the team versus I'm an offensive coordinator and I will call the plays and dictate any and everything. It doesn't necessarily have to be like that, although they can have that prerequisite skill. Mike Singletary, yeah. Somebody was talking about him pulling his pants down or something, and he did that in the locker room. Dion said he saw him do it. I ain't see him do it. And pause. I don't want to see him do it. I heard he did it in the locker room. He said, "Y'all playing like this at halftime," and he pulled his pants down.
All right, bro, that's crazy. Like, okay, I understand trying to just trying to make us play better, but Jesus, like that. Whoa.
Mike gave a visual. Mike had to give him a visual.
For sure.
Best coach since Bill Walsh. I have to give it to George Seifert. George Seifert was good. George Seifert was great. George got that second Super Bowl in 90. Was it 90? Yeah, 80. I was in college. It was 90. It was the 89 season, but it was 90 when we beat the Denver Broncos. And if well, I ain't gonna say his nickname, but it was a guy I played with in college. I gave him 35 points and covered because his cousin was playing for the Denver Broncos. His cousin played defensive lineman. I knew what we had on that field. We was gonna beat them Broncos like they stole something. The final score was 55-10, and he knew. Shout out Joe Montana.
And you knew they were going to do that because they had John Elway on the other side. That was just so overrated.
No,
I'm just kidding.
No, don't go ahead, John, man. Well, all right, let's say that. Can you name?
Just kidding, I promise.
Can you name me John Elway's receivers that day? No, he have nothing. He just out there getting it. But,
Yes, I would take Kyle over Harbaugh. I would.
No, I got Big Jim. I love Jim Harbaugh, man. Jim Harbaugh is my guy. I am so crazy about Jim Harbaugh, man. I don't know what it is. It's just his philosophy. Now they are diametrically opposed on the offensive line. Jim Harbaugh said a statement, and a lot of people are using this. The offensive line is the only unit in the NFL that doesn't depend on somebody else for production and for their quantitative value. Running backs depend on the offensive line. A quarterback sometimes has to depend on the offensive line as well as the receiver. The receiver depends on the quarterback. Offensive line depends on nobody, and they are good without that. That's why they are the engine of your offense. That's the engine. It don't depend on nobody else. I don't need anything else. I need this unit has to be good, and from us, everything else will go.
I think it's just weird that people say Kyle can't win the big one. I don't think Jim Harbaugh can win the big one. He's proven as proven.
Remains to be seen. He got that national championship. And if Collie Young is in the house, they said he couldn't beat them Ohio State Buckeyes, but they put them L's on them Buckeyes. Buckeyes was beating Michigan like they stole something. Big Jim come there, turns it all around, and wins the Natty.
Nick Saban, greatest college head coach of all time. Probably.
Who, Nick Saban? Yeah,
Nick
probably.
Saban.
Yeah, Nick Saban.
Terrible NFL head coach. So it's two different. It's two different levels of sports.
What Jim went to the Super Bowl.
Oh, I know, but he didn't get it done though. So what I'm saying is like
he didn't get it done, but he was on the cusp of getting it done. Where Nick Saban didn't even scratch the surface. I don't think Nick Saban even went to the playoffs.
I'm saying the accomplishment. I'm not trying to compare Jim Harbaugh to Nick Saban in like that degree. I'm saying I'm comparing the sport of college and the pro football. Like there's two different like saying you won a national championship, that's great, that's awesome. But if you do it in the NFL, it's completely different. If you could do it in the NFL, that's a whole other argument. So I don't take he won the Natty with Michigan, but I don't take it as he won the big game. You need to win the big game in the NFL because it's a different level of sport.
If you don't win the Super Bowl, you're not a good coach.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if we're comparing Jim Harbaugh and Kyle Shanahan, I'm not saying Jim Harbaugh's
Kyle Shanahan ain't got no. I
am not saying.
Eddie Murphy would say, I don't see no rings on these fingers.
I am not saying Jim Harbaugh is a bad coach, and I'm not saying Kyle Shanahan's a bad coach because he hasn't won the Super Bowl. I think he's a top 5 coach in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
But I'm saying people are saying I would take Harbaugh over Kyle. When Kyle has done more than what Harbaugh's done in the NFL.
Well, okay, let's look at their winning percentages. Overall,
Harbaugh inherited a better situation and fixed Alex Smith. And yet somehow I understand he had some bad luck in the NFC Championship game against the Giants. I understand that. But against the Seattle Seahawks, he's responsible for that play to throw it to Crabtree for Richard Sherman. He's the one that got blown out by his brother in the Super Bowl. Kyle Shanahan.
It wasn't a blowout. It was just 5 points.
Oh, it was practically a blowout, and then they made this crazy comeback because.
Well, practically a blowout is not a blowout. It was practically everything, but what it was 35-34 with a chance to win it at the end, and we had to come back from 28
straight
to 6
passes to Crabtree at the end.
With the clock winding down, 4 straight passes. Yeah, it wasn't his best moment, but we cannot let a moment define how good an entire career in a over 70% winning.
I am not saying I'm not saying Jim Harbaugh was bad. That's what I'm not saying. He was a bad coach. I'm saying that with the comparison of Kyle Shanahan and Jim Harbaugh, Kyle Shanahan has done more.
No, he hasn't. No.
He took Jimmy
No,
G.
no,
to the
I'm pushing
Super
back on
Bowl
that. No,
because of his run
Jim
game.
Harbaugh went to San Diego State in his first year, turned it around. Jim Harbaugh went to Stanford in his first year, turned it around, and started beating USC.
Frank
Jim
Gore,
Harbaugh came to the
Vernon
San Francisco
Davis.
49ers and got us to 3 consecutive NFC championships and a Super Bowl within a stone's throw of winning the Super Bowl. Jim Harbaugh then goes to Michigan, turns that program around. Michigan was in the doldrums. Jim Harbaugh gets there. They are back, and they are of prominence, and they win the Natty. No, Kyle Shanahan has not done what Jim Harbaugh has done. He has not been a head coach and done it on multiple platforms, on multiple levels. No.
No,
Kyle
absolutely
Shanahan,
not.
Kyle Shanahan can't hold Jim Harbaugh job.
No, absolutely not. Now you're going too far, saying he wouldn't even hold his job. That is crazy.
I ain't going too far. I'm not stuttering. No, Jim Harbaugh is a wonderful coach. Jim Harbaugh did it.
He is a
Jim Harbaugh done did it on multiple levels, multiple teams, multiple times. That's it.
When? What are you talking about? He's not doing it with the Chargers right now.
Give him time. He's been there 2 years. He's been there 2 years. He had him in the playoffs.
And with the Niners,
Okay.
he had Frank Gore, Vernon Davis, a top 5 offensive line. Okay. And he had a really amazing defense with Patrick
took you to
Willis
4 NFC championships and a Super Bowl. Kyle, look what Kyle had.
Patrick Willis.
Look what Kyle had.
Alden Smith.
Okay. All right.
He had an elite team around him.
Yeah, that's it. He just had an elite team. It was just the team. You're right.
No, he is a good coach. He is a good coach.
Yeah, it was Jim Harbaugh. It was his first season. You see how you go, Ellison? It's his first season. Well, he didn't win the Super Bowl.
What would you rather have?
What season is this for Kyle Shanahan? What season is this?
What would you rather have?
This is Kyle's 9th, right?
Brother,
give Jim 9. Give Jim 9. Give him 2 more.
Would you rather have Jimmy G? Okay, not even Christian McCaffrey, but Mostert, Kittle, and I don't even know who the other a Emmanuel Sanders that was aging. Okay, or would you rather have Frank Gore, a top 5 offensive line, Alex Smith, who's playing elite, and Vernon Davis at the top of his game with an insane defense? Yes,
and Colin Kaepernick.
I would rather have
Colin Kaepernick with playoff records. Don't forget that.
So
Jim Harbaugh in
mid-season
makes the move to bring Colin Kaepernick in as his starter, goes to the Super Bowl.
I would rather have that Kaepernick offense.
Give me that.
Than that Jimmy G offense. Easily. To do what Jimmy Garoppolo did, what Kyle Shanahan did with that offense is insane. With a shit below average quarterback. He made the Super Bowl.
Okay. And Colin Kaepernick was everything. And Alex Smith they're going to the Hall of Fame.
Well, I'm not saying what do you mean? Jimmy Garoppolo's not going to the Hall of Fame either. But Kaepernick is better than Jimmy Garoppolo, especially in that offense.
Okay.
And then Papa J says, wait, well, if you can't say Judge Brock by the town behind him and then say it's okay to do the head coach. False. Because the context is extremely different. With Jimmy G, it was all Kyle in that run game making it happen that got them to that Super Bowl. It was the run game. Brock Purdy was the reason they won that Packers game, they won that Lions game, and got to that Super Bowl. The context of that game is completely different. What Brock Purdy does in context compared to Jimmy Garoppolo and what he does is significantly different. And we could both agree that Kyle regressed, right? He regressed. He's not as good as he was when he first started.
Okay. Hey, I all I can do is put my statement on out there. I know I can't. Only Holy Spirit convinces, convicts, and all I can say is what I say. Multiple levels, multiple times, he's turned it around and got people formidable.
He's a good coach.
That's Jim Harbaugh.
Yes. Jim Harbaugh is a good coach. Yes.
Moving right along, what's on the docket? Rumors about a trade. BA or Terry McLaurin over in DC versus Brandon Ayuk. What would you say about that? If it came out that, hey, give me this player for that player, would you trade BA for relatively the same number in terms of productivity? They are very, very similar, but I don't know. I kind of like how Terry goes about his business a little bit more than BA at this time, and BA has the injury.
I would love the idea of it because I would much rather have McLaurin than Brandon Ayuk, like for sure. I think Brandon Ayuk is not sorry. I think 2023 Brandon Ayuk, 2022 Ayuk, probably top 10 wide receiver, maybe top 15, but Terry McLaurin is without a doubt a top 10 wide receiver, right? And he takes the top off the defense. He can run all the routes Ayuk can and stuff like that. Maybe not as good as a route runner, but I think Terry McLaurin has better, more reliable hands. Like he can make those weird, funky catches and stuff like that. I think Ayuk needs to be in his breadbasket, needs to be right there. But his route running is so good and Brock Purdy is accurate that he makes that work. So I would easily do that trade, but I think that wouldn't work in any way because Terry McLaurin, yeah, he wants a new contract, and I would easily pay him $30 million a year for the next 2-3 years until he's 32 years old. I would absolutely do that. But Brandon Ayuk, though, you would have to take on the contract that he has because it's already official now. You can't get out of it. The Commanders would have to do the 49ers a solid. They would have to be like, okay, yeah, we'll take on the money of Brandon Ayuk and things of that nature because that's what it would have to take. There's no way they're going to be able to take the cap hit of Brandon Ayuk and pay Terry McLaurin, which at that point you're paying because if you're taking on the cap hit of Brandon Ayuk, you got to add it on top of whatever you're paying McLaurin. So it's like what, $50-something million for the wide receiver, technically speaking, in that aspect.
It's a lot of loot, a lot of bread. That the going rate for a wide receiver is a good wide receiver is pretty steep. But heck, we paying Brandon Ayuk $30 million too, so it is what it is. I like Terry Mack. Ellison is in there right now, who is a diehard Commander. He said Terry not going anywhere. So don't get on the phone and call me. He said that the deal will get done. The same thing happened 3 years ago after his rookie deal was up, and this will get done also. Don't waste your time.
Oh, I know it's not happening. I know that's not happening. I didn't say it's not happening. I'm literally telling you that the Commanders would have to do the 49ers a favor. And the 49 and for that to happen, I think that just wouldn't happen. I said that it wouldn't happen. I don't think it would happen. I don't think it can happen because like I said, the Commanders will have to do us a solid. It's definitely not happening for sure. I do agree with that. It's not happening. But if you're asking me in terms of would I like that? Yes, I would. I would take that 100 out of 100 times. If they were like, you take on the cap and you take McLaurin, I'm just telling you what it would take for that to actually happen. And I don't see that possible. That's not possible. It's just not in the cards. But people are talking about it like
Red Jet, why you messing with me about the burger and fries, man? Y'all know how I feel about my burger and fries. They still owe me. McDonald's, you owe me a double cheeseburger and large fry. Go ahead.
It's all right. I'm a cheeseburger and fries guy.
Yeah, I went to McDonald's for a double cheese and a large fry, and these MFers couldn't. They pulled me forward with the, we ain't got nothing ready. How you McDonald's with billions and billions served, and you don't have a double cheeseburger and quarter and a large fry? I didn't even get the drink. It won't even a combo. I just want some fries and I gotta go to work. I pull up in lane 4 where you get the curbside service. 15 minutes later, this girl come out with 2 bags, and ain't neither one of them my cheeseburger and large fry.
But it's more food though, right? Like you got the wrong order, but it's a lot more.
It was the order for the people sitting beside me, man. It's the worst McDonald's ever. Customer service is not what it has been. I got my receipt. I'm going back and get my double cheeseburger large fry. But that's what you referenced. I was hot, man. I was 38 hot. I was on my way to work. I was late messing around with these foods,
Oh my God.
Fast food ain't what it used to be.
So I don't think that it's possible, and I don't think it's happened. I think it'd be dumb of them to not pay McLaurin. So don't worry, Ellison. This isn't a conversation of us taking him. I don't think it's going to happen. And if you guys do not pay him, you end up trading him. I think that's the stupidest thing you guys could do. He's your best wide receiver, Jaden Daniels, and Debo. And I've seen film of Debo OTAs. Man, he looks washed. Okay. He looks just as chunky as the past 2 days,
OTAs.
man.
Debo gonna be.
He does not look good at all. So, like, you need Terry McLaurin. And Terry McLaurin knows it. That's why he's like, I want my contract. Look at that guy. Look at that guy. I want my contract, man. Look at him. Look at the double cheeseburger guy over there, okay? I want my guy. I want my contract. And I think if Commanders will do it, I think they're very stupid. And I don't think Adam Peters is stupid. So I think they're going to get a deal.
Yeah, Adam Peters. I keep forgetting that Adam Peters there. He ain't going to let go of that. Yeah.
So I'm all for it. What do you think? What are you for it? I have to use the restroom quick.
Go ahead. We were going to talk about the NBA Finals, and we'll talk about it as when Mr. Wolfie returns. Let me read some of this stuff in the chat. Let me remove that. Red Jet still laughing about my double cheese and large fry, man. That thing hurt, man. I was 38 hot. Had to eat a Stouffer's frozen cuisine I keep at work sometimes, man. I don't like eating those because they don't the preservatives in it are high in sodium and can mess with your blood pressure. I don't really like doing that. Five Guys is the way to go. Yeah, man. Keep them away from Five Guys. Five Guys burgers are the best burgers ever in all of fast food. Love Five. And their fries, they come with so many fries. It's a cup of French fries, and they pour the potatoes in there, and your cup runneth over. It's biblical, the amount of fries they give you at Five Guys. And the bag had that little grease on it. It had that grease that they're gonna be good. They referencing don't worry about your division first. Get through that. Okay. Ellison get a little
literally okay. Ellison. Okay. Just because I said something negative and something I know about Debo doesn't mean I wish the downfall of you, because I went for you guys in the NFC Championship game. I like Jaden Daniels. I like Dan Quinn. I like Adam Peters. I want them to be successful, and I want them to win. But when I tell you that Debo is not Debo, and he doesn't look like Debo, or he looks like the same Debo we've seen the past couple of years, he looks like that guy. So it's not a shot of, I want your downfall at all. Like, it's the complete opposite. I'm going for you.
Yeah, that's it. All right, Wolfie, we looked at the NBA Finals last night. The Indiana Pacers won the game by, I think it was 10 at the end. I got to pull up my stats and everything, but I was on with you at the tail end of it. Pause. What were your takes? What were your takes on the NBA Finals last night?
The Pacers have more stamina, I thought about it, than the OKC does. They have, because OKC at the end of that game looked tired. They looked exhausted, while the Pacers didn't look exhausted at all. They weren't like they were out of breath or anything. I think that might be the saving grace of the Pacers, is why they're so good in the fourth quarter. It's because when I was watching that game, like in the first quarter, I was like, man, this is going to be without a doubt a loss, like 110%. They were looking terrible. Okay. You saw that comment of that guy where he's like, OKC is just that good, right? And they're going to obliterate them.
Yeah.
Did not happen. And they make this crazy comeback, and they stand strong, and OKC tried everything they can to get ahead of them. And the Pacers were just, no pun intended here, but like they just kept keeping pace with them and kept doing their thing. And OKC was getting exhausted while the Pacers looked just fine, and they just overcame them. That's probably why they're so good in the fourth quarter, and they're so clutch and so good, because because it literally looked like I described this. It looks like pee-wee basketball versus grown men in the first quarter, and then suddenly everything just changed in that second, third, fourth quarter. This team you can never ever count out. Like, you cannot count out the Pacers based on what I'm seeing here, because they should have been out of it in the first quarter. Like, they were pretty bad, and there was moments, obviously, I was freaking out where it's like you need to make these shots, you can take the lead and stuff. But I think I'm starting to develop a realistic expectation of how often people make their shots and when they should take. I'm looking at every missed shot and being like, how do you miss that? You shouldn't miss that. And I'm freaking out, losing my mind. But I'm starting to realize, okay, sometimes they're gonna miss these shots and stuff. So I'm starting to develop an expectation of how consistent shooting should be, because technically at the end of the day, they did score 17 points, which is pretty good, which is about, I think, we're above average for a basketball game, right? So
let me see here.
So I would say that's
just give me my score here.
So that I think that's a good amount of points for a basketball team, and so I'm starting to develop a realistic expectation, and probably won't freak out as much in the future, probably not, but yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. I'm loving these finals. It's definitely getting me into basketball, enjoying it more. But I've always enjoyed the finals for the most part. But this is probably the one I've been most involved with, the most I cared about more. So, because I really want the Pacers to win. So,
and they go up 2-1 and will pass the Thunder. The final score. Yes, give me this stuff. Game 3, Pacers 116, Thunder 107. The leading scorer was Benedict Mathurin, right? Mathurin. And he had a good night. He had 27 points overall. Halliburton was Halliburton, man. 20 gave you 22. And let me see who else threw down out there. Pascal Siakam. Pascal Siakam can shoot that rock, man. He's good. He had 27, I believe.
Shout out to Brock Purdy.
21. And Tyrese Halliburton had 22, but it was a really good performance. Usually Benedict Mathurin doesn't have all of those points, man, but he gave you a hard 27. They held my man Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to 24 points, and that was a harbinger of things to come, because usually he's a 30-point guy, man. He get 30 just by 6 minutes left in the third. He'll have a quiet 30 or 28. 6 minutes left in the fourth. I'm sorry. He'll have a quiet 30 or a quiet 28, and he didn't. Rick Carlisle's a championship coach, man. He know what he's doing, and they made adjustments, and they just said, we will not let Shai beat us. And hey, you got to make adjustments. That's another trademark and a benchmark of a good coach, making the adjustments from game to game, seeing what's needed, seeing where you have your deficiencies, seeing what your strengths could possibly be, changing the lineup here or there, and a defense. And Carlisle got that championship pedigree. He beat LeBron and them boys in that first year when he was at Dallas. I remember that very, very well. And they had the super team, but Rick Carlisle and them Dallas Mavericks came with who's the guy with the headband? Ellison Terry, what's his name? Jason Terry. Jason Terry and Dirk Nowitzki got him back in the day, man. That was when LeBron was saying, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, and they came out there and see him. And the same thing could happen here with these Indiana Pacers. They got an energy, and I figured they would. I thought it would start off like that. I didn't see the beginning of the game, but in the first quarter, you were telling me it looked like, dang, OKC gonna run them off the court. I thought they would get infused coming back to Indiana. The most famous Indiana person ever is one Michael Jackson, and he said, I'm going back to Indiana. So I knew they would have one incredible fervor about them going back home. And but it started off a little weak, but they caught their sea legs about third quarter, I'm presuming, and then they started playing some real basketball. Shout out to Indiana. Now they got to get it together. I think they play tomorrow night again. and this is very, very pivotal. You got to get this game. OKC, if they go up 3-1 on you, usually conventional wisdom says this ain't your year, not your cheese, not your year.
It's a pretty big game for the Pacers for sure. I do agree that if they get this W, I think the Pacers pull off and win this NBA Finals. I think they really do that. I mean, there's that possibility they come back for sure. Like, it's like not going to ignore that, but you're right. The conventional wisdom is that it's over. If the Pacers are in control of their fate right now, and if they can pull off what they did yesterday, tomorrow, and go up 3-1, OKC, I've got a feeling it's going to be like, man, we're deflated. Like, I imagine they'd be so deflated if they lose that game.
It would be bad. It turns into a home series with them being the prerequisite, the best. It turns into a best of 3 series with them having 2 of the home games. So it flips on its ear. You gotta win this one. You gotta win this next one.
And I think they could do it. I think they actually can. I mean, a lot of people, I think Crazy Juice said it. Everyone's just still doubting them, still being like, "Hey, they're just going to lose in 6 now instead of 5 or whatever it was." Like, I think at some point you got to respect your opponent if they're able to win. If they won 1 game on you, sure, but 2 games, that means they're bringing a little something. That means they're bringing some good competition.
Yeah, man.
And you got to respect that. And everyone's like, "Oh, in 6. And I got a feeling if they go up 3-1, everyone's gonna say, "Oh, in 7." That's what everyone's gonna say.
That's what you have to do. You got to say it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a 6. Now 7. Yeah, 7. Easy. Okay. Now to get to 6, you got to run off 3 straight. So
it's gonna be. I think it's lights out that point. It's just the Pacers cannot. They can't get comfortable. That's the thing. Like, once you take a lead, man, once you feel like, okay, you got it, we got the juice and stuff, don't get comfortable. Keep acting like you're the underdog. Keep approaching like you're the underdog, and keep coming at them forceful, and keep doing what you're doing, and just being better in the fourth quarter every single time, dude. Just
they do, man. I gotta say, if it's close, if they are within striking distance in the fourth quarter, hey, we call in the Army, there's a pucker factor there. Halliburton and the boys, they settle in. That is the deep water for them, and they like being in the deep water when they're dragging you out there. You can't mess with these Indiana Pacers in the fourth quarter. If they close, boy, you better beat them down.
For sure.
Now on the docket, switching lanes. What my transition sound is? By division, we got the AFC and NFC South. We'll start off with the NFC South. These are our GOATs for your respective teams out there, so all y'all can tune in. I think my man Jerry G is a New Orleans fan. We got some Carolina Panthers down here. We got some good folks, Atlanta Falcons, and who else is in the NFC South? Atlanta.
It's Falcons, Saints, Bucks,
Carolina,
and Panthers.
Falcons, Saints, Panthers. I'm missing one. I got Atlanta, New Orleans, Carolina. Who else?
Bucks.
Those Bucks, the Yucks. Let's start out with
Buccaneers.
New Orleans. You want to start our Panthers? Okay, Panthers is cool.
No, it's up to you. No. I was just saying Buccaneers, and you do Saints. It's fine. I was just saying Buccaneers.
Okay, we'll go with New Orleans.
Buck with the Buccaneers.
Buccaneers.
The Buccaneers.
Who is the face? Who is the GOAT of the Buccaneers? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, established in 1976 with the creamsicle jersey. We like the creamsicle colors.
We wanted the Saints.
They weren't a good team, but the logo was hot, Wolfie, when they had those creamsicle. I probably need to bring it up because the younger viewers don't know about it, but that was a hot jersey back in the day. It was a hot
good jersey
logo.
Good jersey. I wasn't a fan of the logo, but I do like that color scheme happening there. It looks crisp. Looks absolutely crisp. I like it a lot. Especially nowadays, I think it would work really well. It's a sad they got away from it.
And I'm a share the screen real quick, man. The Bucks had a nice little. They didn't win much. They didn't, but it looked damn good. That was the color scheme. See the Buccaneer with it looked a
Hey,
little,
your mic is funky.
it looked a little fruity now, but it was a sweet logo, man. He had a knife in his mouth, and he was a pirate. It made up, they went over to the pewter and the skull and crossbones, or the skull and cross swords. Later on, I think that was around 2000 ish, maybe late 1990. It was late 1990s, maybe 97, 98. They switched over, but yeah, we like that Buccaneer. That was dope.
Believe it or not, I actually agree with Ellison here. I do not like. I'm not a fan of the helmet. I like the jersey and the stuff, but the helmet, it does not. It doesn't click with me, man. It does not click. It looks like a '90s helmet for sure. Like it does.
Yeah, it was sweet when it came out. It was dope, man. It was the 70s. I guess it was just different time anyway.
Well, I think if you switch up the colors, it'd probably look better. I think it would look better if you switch up the colors and fix it. Because the logo, I don't think the logo itself is probably not the problem. Like it's the Buccaneer with the knife in his mouth looks really cool. I'll say that for sure. This is the color scheme. I'm not a fan of with that
orange. And they had guys that back in the day it was Leroy Selman, and the great Doug Williams played for them. And Doug Williams actually took them to the NFC Championship. This is before he goes to Washington. And Joe Gibbs was on that coaching staff, I believe. And from there, he got the job in Washington, and the rest is history. Joe Gibbs, one of the greatest coaches ever. Joe Gibbs, top 4 or 5 of the greatest coaches that ever did it.
Your mic is acting up.
The mic's acting up.
All right, there you go.
Okay, yeah, Joe Gibbs, one of the greatest ever, man. Incredible coach. So who would be your Buccaneer GOAT?
Man, I had to do research on this one quite a bit. I have 2, but I'm gonna give an honorable mention would be my number 2, and then my number 1. My honorable mention here would be Leroy Selman.
There you go. Look at that.
Defensive. I know, shocker. I was like, oh, this is a throwback. This is like 1978. Yeah, this defensive player of the year, 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro. He was defensive player of the year in 1979. He was a 2-time second-team All-Pro. He was a really good defensive end, a really good player, and
really did some research there, boy. You know about Leroy Selman.
Because I didn't know enough about the Bucks. I was like, oh my god,
wow.
There's like 3 teams here I had to do some research on.
There you go.
Shout out to him, but without a doubt, he's edged, and I mean absolutely edged out by Warren Sapp.
Go!
7-time Pro Bowler, defensive player of the year, 4-time All-Pro. He's a 2-time All-Decade player in 90s and 2000s, in the Hall of Fame, 2-time second-team All-Pro as well. He has all the accolades of Leroy Selman and more. This dude is phenomenal, and it speaks true because like to this day you still hear about how good Warren Sapp was, and yeah, he was a bit of a troublemaker, and and that's the reason why he fell in the draft and stuff. But that did not stop him. He came out and was played phenomenal. And if you have this kind of repertoire, you have these kind of accolades, and you beat out all the rest of your even quarterbacks, I without a doubt, man, I could not find a better player in any position that was more successful and more impactful than Warren Sapp was for the Bucks. So without a doubt, not even have to think about it, it's gonna be Warren Sapp. But Leroy Selman would be the number 2 if you wanted, because he also played in a crazy time back then with less games and stuff. But I think Warren Sapp just was 7. He has 7 to Leroy Selman's 6. He has 4 to Leroy Selman's 3 All Pros. They have the same amount of second team All Pros. But the all decade team, he made all decade team twice, and I think that's actually I think that's crazy to make 2000s and 1990s. That says a lot.
Dingers there, man. You hit the nail on the head on that one. I have to respect that, man. You're gonna make me redirect a little bit and think about some things. Warren Sapp was definitely on my mind. You heard me talk about Leroy Selman before we even started talking about it, man. Leroy Selman was a beast. Leroy Selman was he was the face of that franchise, man, and they did it with hard-nosed defense. That's what the Bucks are known for. I'm gonna shout out a little bit of Mount Rushmore before I announce, but the great John Lynch was back there patrolling way back there. Our GM was bad. Our GM will come up and smack you. Warwick Dunn played for them. He was really, really good as well on the offensive side of the ball. They're not traditionally known for their offense, but I got to say Warwick Dunn and Mike Allstott. Mike Allstott is crushed
The
you.
fullback?
Hardy.
Fresh running back?
And let me tell you what, Mike Allstott was problems. Ain't nobody want none of one Mr. Mike Allstott. He went about 6'1", 240 pounds, a biscuit away from 245, and could run, had feet, could catch out of the backfield. And Chris Berman, when it would come on in the NFL countdown, he would go, Mike Allstott just bouncing people off of him, man. Mike Allstott was a bad cat, man. You mentioned Warren Sapp. I love the fact that you said Warren Sapp. He is from the U. Warren Sapp.
I was like, you got that shine from Warren Sapp.
Warren Sapp was problems. Warren Sapp was that dude. Warren Sapp put him on the map. Warren Sapp was the dude, man. And he's got the Super Bowl ring and the hardware on there. He's got the national championship at the U. He's the one that supplanted Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Thought he was going to start at the University of Miami, and Warren said, "Hey, sit down. I got it. Go ahead and go wrestle." Yeah, he called him Dewey back then. Dewey, no, it ain't happening here. Go and do a suplex or something. But my guy for the GOAT Tampa Bay Buccaneers is Derrick Brooks. Right. Derrick Brooks. Let me tell you, I think Derrick Brooks got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Pro Bowls. 1, 2, 3, 4 All Pro first team, and 1, 2, 3, 4 All Pro second team, defensive player of the year. He had team MVP. He had votes for MVP of the league back in 2002 when they take that defense and totally dismantle the league. Now, a little bit of a backstory on that, man. Tony Dungy was the coach for years on the run up from like about 1999 to 2001, or maybe it might have been 98 to 2001. They become the juggernaut defense. They are elite defensively. They just can't get the offense to help out the defense. They make the change and bring John Gruden in and send Tony Dungy up to Indianapolis. The rest is history. But it was the stamp of defense that they had, and this was the defensive captain, one Derrick Brooks. Derrick Brooks was fast, out of Florida State University. Good gentleman, man. He represented the team incredibly and impeccably well. Scott, I think he was up for Walter Payton Man of the Year himself, and Warwick Dunn a couple of times, man. Derrick Brooks is my dude. He's my GOAT and the face of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer. I like it. I dig it. Special accolades are pretty good. athletes are definitely better. They're better than Warren Sapp, technically speaking. So that's pretty good. I actually like that pick. I really do. That's a good.
Late. Derek Brooks was the linebacker of the early 2000s. Derek Brooks was the prototype. You've heard the defense, the Tampa 2.
Oh yeah, it started it. Yeah.
That's where it comes from. It was the innovation of Tony Dungy to drop. You have to have a middle linebacker fast enough to drop in that hole. Pause between the free and the strong. It was the Tampa 2 that everybody is using nowadays. It came from one Derek Brooks. He made the prototype for middle linebacker. Middle linebacker used to be a big husky guy, 240 with a neck roll, and you would just
neck roll's classic. Brian Urlacher.
Derek Brooks came to town. They said, okay, it done changed a little bit. You need a linebacker who can kill in the holes and fill against the spill, but I need this guy who can get back and cover a slot or get back to a zone and have range and depth. And it was Derek Brooks. He was a Superman.
No doubt. I like the pick. It's good.
All right. Who we got next here? Who you want to go with next?
You want to do Saints first? We get that one.
Let's go with the Saints. All right, Saints.
I didn't have to look up anything for this. Like, I thought this was just, I didn't even do research. I didn't have to look. I know he has all kinds of records. He's second in a lot of records because of Tom Brady and all that, but it's Drew Brees, man. It's Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if anybody said anything otherwise, I'd be like, it's not Cam Jordan. So it's Drew Brees.
Drew Brees does not have to pay for a drink in the city of New Orleans ever in life. Drew Brees could run for governor. Drew Brees is it. Yeah. He's
a guy that if you put him in top 5 quarterbacks, I wouldn't be mad at you. Like, if you put him at number 5, I would not be mad at you. He has the accolades. He's done great things. If you put him at 5 or in your top 5, I would not be mad at you. He's that great of a quarterback. He does so many great things. Ellison says honorable mention Archie Manning. Yeah, definitely honorable mention.
Archie Manning, sir. Archie Manning. Reggie Bush. I like Reggie Bush. It's been a couple of the Dome Patrol. Pat Swilling. Those linebackers were great back in the day. Yeah, but man, yeah.
You agree with Drew Brees?
It got to be Drew. I got Drew too.
Yeah, it
ain't close. He's lapping the field. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 Pro Bowls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 All Pros. 2 second team All Pros. Offensive Player of the Year back in 2007. It goes on and on, man. He did some work in San Diego before he gets to New Orleans. He was a really good quarterback then. He caught an injury reaching for a fumble one time and
landed on
his shoulder. Yeah, it overextended his shoulder. This is why Nick Saban doesn't do well in the National Football League. Nick Saban wanted Drew Brees when San Diego gave up on him. Nick Saban was standing on the desk of, I think it was Wayne Huizenga, the owner of the Miami Dolphins, said, please give me this guy. But the doctor said, no, he's injured. We're not going to bring him. And Nick Saban was out of pro football the next year. He said, F it, I'm going to college. And the rest is history right now. But Nick Saban wanted Drew Brees bad. If he would have got Drew Brees, it's no telling to how many championships Nick Saban would have won. That's really how it went down. And he, I heard you earlier say, oh, he didn't do well in pros. He sucked it. It's because he couldn't get his quarterback. He wanted Drew Brees bad as a pig, needed slop, but they wouldn't let him sign him. He goes to New Orleans. And another thing on Drew Brees, Hurricane Katrina devastated the city of New Orleans. It was bad. I don't know if y'all remember, man, that this happens around 2006, 2007. It It was August 2007. The city is absolutely devastated, and it took Drew Brees coming to that city. He could have went anywhere at any time. He really wanted to go to Miami. He could have went a whole bunch of places. Drew Brees came, adopted that city, put that city on his back. The team comes out,
Yeah.
resurrected, and builds New Orleans, which you know is New Orleans, where we play national championships, where we play Super Bowls, where you go for Mardi Gras, the Essence Festival, and everything. Drew Brees was a catalyst for bringing that city back. And as a black man, it was absolutely devastating, man, for that to go on. Drew Brees could have not touched it and said, "Hey, sorry, y'all city, it's not that." He could have stepped away from that in 2006. He accepts it, comes to New Orleans. Him and his wife get real charitable. They ingratiate themselves to the community, and he wins and he performs, and he brought that city back. Can't say enough about the great Drew Brees. And the best breakdown of all time, well, you got Ray Lewis, the pregame breakdown of him. He ran with some Marines and learned some of what's called Jody drills or Jody cadences. Go back and watch Drew Brees break everybody down before games. He hits this cadence that we sing in the morning when we're running, and it is absolutely awesome, man. Can't say enough about Drew Brees.
Phenomenal quarterback, without a doubt. He's that face. He like you said, he goes in there. He has free meals. He's never gonna be homeless in his entire life. I mean, the dude I don't know if he's got a statue outside that stadium, but he needs a statue outside that stadium.
He needs a statue. Yeah,
he needs
a statue in the middle of the city.
Yeah,
and a beignet named after him
around
good food.
A roundabout, like he needs a statue in a roundabout where people drive and they see it. That's what they need.
Drew Brees Center. Yeah. Who you got, man?
Next team, you want to do the Falcons?
Yeah, let's do the Falcons.
This one is, I feel like, another easy one, and I think it qualifies. You could look at him at two teams technically because I think they spent the same amount of time. I could be wrong. Actually, I think he spent more time on the Falcons, but I look at Deion, and I did my research, and most fans look at Deion as a Falcon. So I'm putting Deion Sanders as a Falcon. It's Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders is the greatest Falcon of all time. And I went back and forth. I was like, he played for multiple teams. I know the Falcons had some Tony Gonzalez, Julio Jones. You had Matt Ryan. Even though he wasn't like the greatest quarterback, he was still, one of the best quarterbacks for the Falcons ever. I mean, a name that's brought up for the Falcons without a doubt. I gotta say Deion Sanders. I know Michael Vick, what Ellison said there, Michael Vick, but Deion Sanders is way more prominent and way more of a Hall of Famer. Has done a lot more. And if I think Deion Sanders is a Falcon, then I have to give it to Deion Sanders as a Falcon. And Michael Vick would be my second. That's my first thought when I did my research.
Me too.
My first thought was Michael Vick, but then I was like, if I think he's this guy for this team, then I have to go with this. And Deion Sanders to me, and again, is one of those things where I didn't have to look up his accolades. I didn't have to do it. The same thing with Drew Brees.
No.
Didn't have to do anything. I was like, okay, if it's Deion Sanders, then I just got to say it, and that's what it is. So Deion Sanders is my greatest Falcon of all time. And if I was a Falcons fan, I would declare Deion Sanders as a Falcon and be like, that. Hey, man, that's the face of our franchise. That's what I would do. So I'm going to go with Deion Sanders as a Falcon.
I'm just thinking about it, man. That's two Florida State guys in one damn division.
You're like, yeah. You guys are just churning out greatness.
Too much FSU around here, man. Too much FSU. But you are so right. Before Deion gets to Atlanta, I think they had a quarterback named Steve Bartkowski, and they used to have a pretty decent running back. I'm forgetting his name. They were known for being what's called the Grits Blitz, and Jerry Glanville's, leaving tickets for Elvis, and it's just Atlanta, whatever it is, man. But at the time when Deion hits, this is the late 80s. Atlanta is becoming this mecca for black folk like it won't know tomorrow. This is how Atlanta is being shaped and being formed. It was Deion Sanders arriving in Atlanta, hitting Fulton. The stadium was called Fulton County Stadium. His first game, this dude feels a punt, turns around, drops it, picks it back up, moves in between, and I think he was going for 60 yards. If you were anywhere around and we had to play them Falcons 2 times a year. This is where the greatest in-game of the game chess match would always happen. Jerry Rice one-on-one with Deion Sanders. It wasn't no other DBs that could do it. It was just him and Deion mano a mano, the greatest on the greatest. And it was a feature. It was a movie within the game. It was absolutely awesome. Deion Sanders with his brashness, with his in your face, with his just the bravado that he brought to everybody playing football has a Deion dance that you would do at the end. If you scored, you wanted to be like Deion. If you got outside, if you cornered back somebody, you wanted to be Deion. You wanted to high step like Deion. You wore a headband like Deion. If I had the hair, I probably would have got a Jerry curl. No, I'm not a Jerry curl kind of guy, but Deion had the Jerry curl. He said it looked wet, but it was dry. He just was that and will always be that. It is Neon Deion all the time. Respect to the great Michael Vick. Michael Vick was, they didn't say you go to a Michael Vick game. They called it the Michael Vick experience. Michael Vick, the Michael Vick experience was like Jimi Hendrix playing. This dude was making people. I was gonna say that, yeah. They were making people smash into each other, and then the dude would throw the daggone ball 70 yards in the air, and then and then go up to Green Bay. His I think this is his second year, and beat Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre, one of the two, up in Green Bay. It was, man, Michael Vick was not playing the radio. Respect to the great Michael Vick, but it is definitely Neon Deion Sanders for the Atlanta Falcons. That is the face and the GOAT of the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah, without doubt. I just feel like that's if he qualifies as a Falcon, it's just he's considered one of the greatest players of all time.
The greatest cornerback, the greatest shutdown. The term shutdown corner is for Neon Deion, and rightfully so.
So the next team, I think we just did. Did we do all the NFC? Oh, Panthers.
No,
Panthers.
We got the Carolina Panthers. Sweet home Carolina.
This one is, I think, another easy one as well. It's just like they had some good players and stuff, like Luke Kuechly's great, and they've had some other historic players and stuff, but it's Cam Newton.
It's Cam.
It's Cam Newton. It's like what he did for that. He put you didn't want to watch a Panthers game, even when they were relevant when they went to the Super Bowl and lost. I can't tell you a single player that was on that team. I can't think of a single.
All I can remember is Jake Delhomme.
Delhomme. That's like the first time I heard that name. So,
Jake Delhomme and Olsen. I think Olsen played tight end. They had a really good defense. Sam Mills was really good, a linebacker there, really good linebacker. He also played for New Orleans as well, but that they came into existence around, I was in the Army, so it had to be like 90, 95 maybe. Them and Jacksonville came into the league saying they were expansion franchises. But yeah, Cam Newton, man. Cam Newton.
He put the Panthers on the map. It made that you wanted to watch a Panthers game because he was playing. He went to the Super Bowl. It's the same thing like where they went to the Super Bowl and lost. He has that iconic moment where he doesn't dive for the ball, sure. But he had a fantastic season at one time, 15-1. He was still an electric player to watch. He's in your top 3, greatest dual threat quarterbacks, I'm sure, of all time, kind of type thing. he's a phenomenal player. And even though he does get flack for certain things, if you want to get down to the nitty gritty and reality of things as a football player, he made the Panthers relevant, man. And like in a world where you had Peyton Manning's, Tom Brady's, Drew Brees's, and all that, you Cam Newton shined, man. And it's Cam Newton. It's Cam Newton. And again, I don't look at the accolades. I think he was an MVP. So he's a great player. And he was a great player, electric player. I wouldn't say he's like an elite player, but I do think he was a great player, and what he did was magical.
Red Jet said, honorable mention, Ray Caruth. Ray Caruth killed his.
I never even heard of that guy. Is he a kicker?
Girlfriend. Come on, Red Jet. That's called gallows humor, Red Jet.
I gotta let my dog inside. I'll be right back.
Go ahead. Shouting out some of these wonderful honorable mentions. Sam Mills was a beast, man. He won number like 5'9", but what hit your monkey? Sam Mills was definitely that. Thomas Davis. Thomas Davis played with a broken arm, dude. Thomas Davis, tough as nails. Love some Thomas Davis. Muhsin Muhammad. I was actually on my honorable mention too, Kylie. I had the great Steve Smith Sr. Steve Smith. He was regular Steve Smith, but he was problems. He was problems, man. Tough as nails. Steve Smith, man, he was a little undersized at, I think, I'd say about 5'10", maybe even not that tall. But boy, in stature, Steve Smith was as nasty as a rattlesnake and could perform. Steve Smith was great. Muhsin Muhammad was the underrated wide receiver. He was the Greenlaw type. I think he's referencing Thomas Davis. Yeah, tough as nails, man, and would hit you. Remember
that guy.
Julius Peppers. Pep hit Carolina different because Pep was he played basketball. I think Pep's got a national championship. Check me, Ellison, if I'm right. He played at UNC. Playing basketball at UNC it's a big deal down here. And this dude played basketball at UNC. He's a first round draft choice, and he was tearing it up for Carolina, man. Pep don't buy no drinks. Pep is that dude, man. Who else we got there left? I figured I'd appreciate my under the table humor, LMAO.
I was like, was that a kicker or something?
Ray had some problems, man. Ray, and it was just about some child support, and man, he devastated families to come and his unborn child, man. But the child is doing okay. I think they had him at a Panther game, recently. But yeah, Ray, man, don't mess with Ray, man. Don't mess with Ray. Yeah, but for me, it is Cam Newton as well. Cam Newton, the celebration, the Superman. He was big. He looked. I've gone to Carolina games, especially when they played the 49ers. I would go down there, man, and watch them when they come out and warm up. When Cam Newton comes out without any pads on, you would think that's a damn defensive end. this dude is all a 6'4", 6'5". This dude is all a 245, 250 pounds. He made Ryan Clark in his it was about Ryan Clark's 12th year. He's thinking about retirement or something, and they played preseason. And Cam rolls out and he's running that ball, and Ryan Clark's a 5'10", 190 DB, and he said, "Man, it's time to get out here, man." They got avatars running around out this damn thing playing quarterback. He was that dude, man. He was. I can't deny he was good, and went to the Super Bowl. Wasn't successful, but did take them to a Super Bowl and was the catalyst of said Super Bowl, not just taking a champagne ride. Yeah. So I was gonna do the AFC South too, but we're at 2 hours, man. I guess we could save that. We got a little long on some other good topics as well. How me and Wolfie do. Wolfie, you got anything coming up over the weekend?
I'm gonna do the tomorrow. I'm gonna do the NBA Finals again. I'm gonna go live for that, and then I'm going to do the NHL Finals, Stanley Cup Finals. I'm thinking about doing it today. I might do it today.
Of soap operas, because that was our rest time, and then you come back out for that final practice from 4 to dusk, and man, the hot sun. These guys are gonna go. It's been the last day of mini camp today. I don't think they're gonna hit the field or nothing. They probably have a barbecue or something. You go for 30 days, and then it begins training camp. No joke, man. No joke. You're gonna find out a lot about yourself as a man, as a human being. What you can take in training camp, hitting, conditioning, a lot of sweat, Gatorade, stretch, get ready. It's finna be on as I crack my neck.
So hockey is a phenomenal. It's one of those sports just like football. It doesn't get talked about enough. What I know we gotta get going here soon. We're supposed to leave like 30 minutes ago. This is typical.
Yeah. Wolfie and Dome just kicking
But some
it.
people don't. What some people don't understand, like they knock it because they can't keep track of the puck. So like I don't know what's going on where the puck is. You develop the ability over time to know where the puck is. Like your eyes get better, you can track it better and stuff like that. Because when I first watched hockey, it was the same way. I found it very difficult to know what's happening. Like where, what. But then after a while, you develop like, okay, I know where it's at, where the player's going, who's moving and stuff. You start to develop it, and So.
And it's better now. We got high definition TV, HD.
Yeah, I bet you that definitely helps too.
That's what helps a great deal. Trying to watch that thing on low def or regular def, or I don't know what def we used with a fat def TV. That thing was like, man, I don't know what this thing's doing. Let me change the channel. But now it's vivid, and it's really good. It's a great TV program now with high definition, and I like when they fight too. So it's all good. It's all good.
The hits are cool, but I also the strategy of it all too. When you see like a 2-on-1 or a breakaway is crazy, where it's like the fate of the game is on this breakaway, where the game could be over, and you get the big save, and it's like the highs are definitely highs. Like considering how small the field. That's why my problem with soccer is I try to get into soccer. Really, it is literally, and I cannot say soccer's bad. I literally can't do that because
it's the world's game. The world loves soccer, but good Lord, y'all,
the field is so big. It's just like there's just so much room.
It is huge. You're like, good Lord. But I tell you what, if you want to get in shape, play soccer, because they running for 90 minutes. It's all run. It is all cardio, buddy. It is cardios.
Yeah, that's not made for everybody, man. That sport is.
Yeah,
ain't no fat boys. Respect how hard it is. It is hard.
Ain't no fat boys running around on that soccer.
Yeah, right. For sure. Everyone's like super thin, like air. Like wind will blow them away.
Yeah, everybody's got abs. Everybody's nice. They can get clothes right off the rack.
There are no Debos on the field. Okay,
they are running.
All Tyreek Hills and stuff like that. I respect the sport, but like I said, it's just hard to. I have to feel that intensity and there's just too many gaps between feeling that intensity with soccer where I just don't feel it. And with hockey, since it's so small, like the balance can change at any moment. The moment someone scores or someone gets a penalty, it's just so tight together that when you're like, okay, oh my God, they're constantly in their zone. They're in their zone. Suddenly it can flip on a dime that all of a sudden they're in their zone. They're in their zone. And sometimes you notice the tug of war that happens between trying to control a puck, getting inside, and then they get a turnover and they go back, and then you get a turnover there. It's like you see the tug of war more you feel that pressure of the tug of war more, and that's what I really love about it. It also helps that I used to play in a video game league where literally, not to go on a whole other rant here, but there's this thing called NHL leagues online.
Okay.
And what you do is you literally get drafted. You go into a Discord and you get drafted by a team. So like there's 30 teams, and someone applies to be a GM, and there's an assistant GM online. This is how it's formed and created, stuff like that. People will go online, and you can sign up for the draft and be like, okay, what position are you playing? What's your secondary position or whatever? I played on Xbox, and I had signed up to be a defenseman or goalie. So my number one position was defenseman, and then I was the goalie. And the managers have cap space, so you got to be careful you trade, be careful you trade for and stuff. So you can't have like 10 first-round picks on your squad if you somehow trade for one. So it's a whole thing, and it was an excellent experience. I did it for like about 7-8 years, and then life got busy, and I couldn't do it anymore because it does take time. You have to practice with these people. Like at 7, for me, it was 7 o'clock, 7:30. You have to practice with your team.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a great experience.
You could do this with like every sport. This will be great for football as well.
Yeah, you could do that for football. There's football leagues too. If you join
Really?
That. Yeah, but the difference is you get a whole team. You're not drafted with like other players, so it's like a team thing. You get for example, I've gotten the Vikings before, I've had the 49ers before, and then you take over that squad, and then you try to win a Super Bowl and stuff against other GMs and stuff. I love the trade aspect of it. As a GM, I was an elite GM. I created constantly the greatest
video game GM.
I was the best, dude. I was the best. I constantly made trades all the time. You get a reputation for like being like, dude, you just constantly trade all the time, or you give off shit. Like sometimes I would give off like shitty trades or whatever, and then people will talk shit behind your back about you. Like this guy offered me this and this and this for Justin Jefferson, trash, and you get a lot of shit for it. But I mean, if you can handle people talking shit about you and your shitty trade offers, sometimes you get away with stealing a player, and sometimes
that's
I don't give a shit if you think this is a shitty trade or not. If I keep going and keep pounding and pounding and pounding, like, hey, I'll trade you this, trade this. Someone's going to give in. Pause. Someone's going to give in and give me a great player for a bunch of minuscule players that don't represent players. Well, I get a first round pick. I just traded for a first round corner, that has great development traits, and now my team's better. Everybody
wants to do a Herschel Walker trade.
Yes.
Yeah. Everybody's looking at that. That's like the greatest example of a GM fleecing, or is he getting fleeced?
Yes. So, and people, the thing is, like, you're dealing with 31 different personalities. So like, you got to be friends with people. You got to like some people in divisions. Well, it's very hard to trade. There's an in division tax. So like, okay, you're in division. I'm giving you a good player. You got to give me more because we're in the same division. There's certain people that hate you because you fleeced them, and they find out later how much you fleeced them. So you deserve a reputation, and you have to like protect your reputation. You're just sitting there going like, no. That was a good trade for both of us. Okay.
Yeah, it's a win-win. You
don't listen to them. They're just talking shit.
Look at all you got.
Yeah, they're just jealous.
You got. I got the better of this deal.
Yeah. And then you're like, yeah, I actually won this deal. There was one time, there was a draft, because we also do the NFL draft also in these leagues with 31 other teams, you and 31 other teams. I had the 5th pick in the draft. Someone else had the first pick in the draft and the 2nd pick in the draft. And I was friends with the guy in the third pick in the draft. I was a Vikings, he was the Rams. And what you do is you unlock certain things on players to find out their top talent.
Yeah.
And I found out about a certain player, their top talent. I unlocked it. And someone asked me whoever had the 1st overall pick. And this guy had the 3rd overall pick. And based on what we were hearing rumors wise, this player was going to fall to the guy at the Rams. The guy number one didn't know much about. He was kind of new and stuff like that, and he needed help. So I helped him. I was like, you should draft this guy. This guy's really good. You need to draft him at 1. Do it. Absolutely do it. And he's like, but I want this guy instead. I was like, he's a bust. Okay. I've already unlocked him. Don't do it. It's a bust player. Okay. This quarterback's going to suck. Get him instead. He drafts him. The Rams guy loses his shit and gets so mad. And the guy who got the number 1 overall pick. Yeah, but Wolfie told me this guy and I had to. And he was right. Look, he's a 79 overall coming out of the draft. And Rams guy sent me so many messages talking shit.
Make a trade or whatever. I'll go live and I'll be checking you out, man. It's been always a pleasure, everyone. Thank y'all all for tuning in today and having a good day. Let it kick your weekend off and let you be prosperous and get everything you want. And remember, everyone, we walk by faith and not by sight. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you all for coming out. Oh, I can't even hit my stuff. Hold on.
Everyone was like, hey, we're talking about hockey.
Yeah. We're out of here. it's not even interacting. Let me just jump off, man. I'm going to talk back at you.
All right, man.
All right, bro.
Have a good night.